I'm in Corvallis, towards the west end of town. Actually, this is part of the Bruce Starker Arts Park where we've been before, but this is an elevated boardwalk going through a natural area. Specifically, this is Dunawi Creek, and this is a preserved or restored area where we have a boardwalk going over what is sometimes water. It might not be water in August, we will see. And it's a short loop, but there can be a lot on it, so let's find out what is here. So this is where the loop divides. So we have a lot of willow on the side, different types of willow shrubs. Who could know about the species? In other places, probably some Oregon ash. And the creek is pretty low. Obviously this is August. In a lot of the winter time, this water would be up to cover all of that. But here we do have some open water. Very dirty, warm, open water, but that is good for at least some things. And this might be artificially maintained because I think naturally in an area like this might be too heated. So there might be some type of water source for this. And right now, the only thing I can see flying over here or living here is a lot of dragonflies, which I don't know if you can see them, but they're flying around. And normally there would be a lot of ducks and maybe nutria here, and we still might see some of these today if we continue on. Case in point, we have a nutria, a very common animal, invasive. Oh, he knows I'm talking about him. And one of the reasons they're invasive, not scared of people at all, other rodents, such as native beavers or muskrat, if I was about 20 feet away, they would start running. Nutria, they'll go up on lawns and just dig away at grass. So that is one animal here that you'll see a lot of, and they are charming to watch, even though they're not particularly good for the ecosystem. And there is a bird flying overhead. He was making noise and then he flew. Can't really tell what type of bird he is. Well, maybe I can. So I'm going to walk over and see what's going on with him. So that's some type of hawk. And from the banding on the tail, I don't know if that's a red tail or a Cooper's or one of the other types of hawks. Also don't know what he's calling to. He might be calling to a mate, might be territorial things. I don't know a lot about hawk behavior, I'm sorry. And this is a good area for a hawk to hunt because there's going to be a lot of rodents here, a lot of small birds, a lot of possible prey animals in a wetland like this. So that's an interesting sight, and let's turn back around, see what else we can see. So I can do this in about 30 seconds. This is an Oregon ash. Very common plant, especially in riparian areas in Oregon. I mean, it's called Oregon ash for a reason. Here is a maple, presumably a big leaf maple. This is actually a tree that a lot of times forms a canopy in forests, but also can grow quickly in riparian or other disturbed areas. And over here we have an Oregon oak, I assume, another plant that's common, and a lot of times grows in more like a prairie or a steppe area, chaparral. And here it's growing in a wetland. So if you look at these plants, they grow in a lot of different areas, and here we see them growing in a swampy area. But anywhere in the Willamette Valley, you're going to see a lot of Oregon oak, Oregon ash, and big leaf maple. And so that's a lot of what this forest is as well. So this building structure is apparently to protect solitary bees, non-social bees, for the purpose of pollination. So they've created all these little micro homes for them. Okay, well, let's continue and see what else we have. So here we have a lot of wild teasel, which is a very common plant here, grows very tall. And as far as I know, it is an invasive plant. So along with this being a restored area, we also do have invasive plants here as well. Over there we have a bed of pennyroyal, I believe. It could be another subspecies of mint, but I believe that is pennyroyal, which is a type of mint that can have some bad effects Usually not. It usually has to be concentrated, but it can still sometimes be dangerous to get too close to that. Also over here, speaking of invasive plants, we have a lot of carrots. Look at all these carrots, which are an invasive plant, but also are a home to a lot of pollinators. So, you know, a mixed thing. So this park has been restored, but obviously it's very hard to restore a park in a way that you restore it to totally native flora and fauna. Also right there, this park adjoins housing developments. So even though it's a natural area in a way, it's not very large. It's like 10 acres or something. And that means that a lot of the animals that come here, birds, mammals, are going to be the kind that are not going to be disturbed by people. So certain animals are a lot more likely to be here, and a lot of those are invasives. So, you know, restoring to natural is good, but that comes within limits because, you know, in a populated area, there's a lot of species that are not going to return because they are not accustomed to people. So there is one common inhabitant of places like this. That's some type of dragonfly, four-winged skimmer, something like that. And there's many of them darting around, and occasionally they sit down and I can get a good shot of them. And they're important in the ecosystem because they're probably killing lots of mosquitoes and other things we don't like. There's another kind of a different species. And so there's a lot of different species of dragonfly, and I don't know if they have some type of niche where they are eating different types of prey or in different habitats, whether some like warmer water or open water, some like things like that. But there are a lot of dragonflies here, and they're fun to watch. So this is going to be a common visitor in these places, common resident. That's a female mallard duck as far as I can tell. And mallard ducks are not invasive, but they do tend to fill out niches close to people, like neighborhood parks like this, where native ducks would not go. So there's a lot of mallard ducks here usually, not complaining about it, but maybe more of those than, you know, species like wood ducks that are more shy and need more of a natural woodland. So this is the end of the boardwalk. Finished the loop, and it's really maybe 1,000 feet walk. It's a really quick walk, but because it is maintained rather naturally and you have a lot of coverage on the sides, even though there's housing developments around it, you know, this short walk I can feel like I'm out there. So one thing about things like this, there's some more houses over there. Even though this is really a neighborhood park, and in fact this is next to some baseball diamonds, and this wetland is about the size of 2 baseball diamonds. It's not super large, but you know, it doesn't take a lot to do several things. You know, preserve some type of habitat and some type of biodiversity. Some of the plants and animals here are invasive, but some of them are native, and there's a lot of native songbirds that this is a good place for them. There's also apparently beavers here, which are native, because nutria do not do that, only beavers do. And also from a psychological viewpoint for people, even though this is just a splash of nature, you know, for people who live here, just being able to see something like this, it can reconnect and maybe make people more aware of the ecosystem they live in. So even though this isn't like a epic nature park, and there are problems as far as like it's a lot easier for invasive species to live closer to people than for native species, it's better than nothing, and I like it. And like I said when I was at Avery Park about an hour ago, this is one of the reasons why I like Corvallis, is that we have a lot of options for outdoor areas, both for human recreation and for preserving some type of ecosystem. So just another thing I wanted to share. And also one other thing, obviously I came here in August. Not actually its most active phase. At other times of the year there would be a lot more going on here as far as what plants and animals would be out. So, like everything in nature, it changes, and it's always fun to watch what's there.